We're here to talk about a deeply divisive social issue. And that issue is infrastructure as code.
Mm-hmm. I've heard about this.
Mm-hmm. What is it?
You expect me to know?
The truth? You want the truth? Just kidding.
It's what it sounds like. You're defining all of your infrastructure via some sort of templating process, whether it be primarily JSON or YAML. Those are the core pieces, I think, in most infrastructure as code frameworks. You'll define all of the bits and pieces that you would typically do to set up what we commonly know as infrastructure. So things like servers, firewalls, load balancers, you name it, it's probably there. Network access control lists, subnets, anything, everything. Those types of things that are primarily done in the old school world by like a network operations engineer.
Mouse
that
clicks. Yeah. A lot of clicking.
Yeah. So in the old school way where you're clicking on mice or logging on to your Cisco RDX.
Or physically going to Hewlett Packard and purchasing machinery.
Yeah. You're defining it all in a template, and you can launch this thing. You give it to some sort of system that recognizes infrastructure as code. Things like Kubernetes or all the cloud providers typically know what infrastructure as code is. So you give them this template, and they will spin up all the bits and pieces that you defined in there. I just blew your mind.
Yeah, my mind is blown.
And then, of course,
I'm looking for my brain as code right now.
So then what you get with all of that, what's obviously so much better, it's probably on the surface here, but just to point it out, then everything that would have been done manually, that would have been done with clicks, that would have been done a single time, is now repeatable. It's clear. It's self-documenting, right? Your code is right there. You can read what your infrastructure is.
Yeah. No more fat fingering. If you do it this way in the lower environment and use that same template to deploy to your QA environment, to your staging, your prod, then you've got environment parity across the board.
Just to be clear, in the olden days, when you're talking about this replaces mouse clicks to draft up an infrastructure environment, what were you clicking in?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so, like I was saying, I mean, you're logging on to the Cisco load balancers. You're logging on to your whatever brand firewall and making the configuration changes there. So you're still doing lots of configuration, but you're logging on to the devices and doing consoles. It. Yeah,
Does this go so far as to replace the AWS admin console instead of clicking and saying I need an EC2 instance here, I need a S3 bucket here?
You definitely can.
Sense, yeah.
You can forego the whole AWS console experience and do it all via
and instead, you can just
API.
describe it like I'm going to write a note to AWS and say, hey, when you have a sec, would you just build this for me?
That might get you only so far.
Okay. Who cares?
Anybody who has infrastructure ought to care. I mean, if you...
So who cares? Who has infrastructure? Who shouldn't care then?
In 2022, who doesn't have infrastructure? Everybody's got their own e-commerce page or app
or web
anybody
app.
Anybody that has their own type of software, whether it's mobile or not, somewhere along the lines you got some servers that are serving up content of some sort.
API, database, UI, all of it. If you're deploying any of those things, then infrastructure as code is the direction you should be going.